Hello, Booktube. As you can see, things look a little different. As you have probably guessed by the title of this video, we are about to do a bookshelf tour. We're going to do a bookshelf tour in honor of the fact of you guys showing me all the love. I recently hit 1,000+ subscribers on this channel. It's been a little bit less than a year since I did kind of my official relaunch, so it means a lot to me to have done that well in that short of amount of time. So I was going to wait and do this on my 1 year, which is coming up in another week or two, but instead I think I'm just going to do it now. I'm going to do a bookshelf tour of the rainbow shelves in my living room, which you guys have seen me film in front of before. It's my preferred filming location. It doesn't always work. But yeah, we are going to do a shelf by shelf tour, starting at the top and working our way down. So let's flip this film around. All right, so this is the very top of my bookshelf, actually sitting up on the top. You can see I have the box trilogy of the, what is it called? What's the actual name of the trilogy? I just call it the Discovery of Witches trilogy. I think it's called like the All Souls trilogy. That's what it's called. So the first book, A Discovery of Witches, the second book, Shadow of Night, and the third book, The Book of Life, all in hardback. These books are very precious, but very problematic to me. So I was gifted a box set by my mom last Christmas, and I really, they're beautiful copies. But I leave them up there because I don't reread them that frequently. And then in the middle, we have a chalk sketching of Notre Dame in Paris that my parents got when they went to visit Paris with my grandparents a couple years ago. We have a vase of my favorite fake flowers, sunflowers, and then anything purple, and a teeny tiny book, a pop-up book that I got for Christmas that's a Happy Holidays book. You guys can probably also see right here, this row, these are macaroon, like puffy stickers that I got from Michael's in all the colors of the rainbow. Some of them have gotten a little beat up and have actually lost their puffiness, like the plastic coating, but they're in all the colors of the rainbow, which I felt was fitting for my rainbow bookshelf. And then we come down here, we start at the reds. This is a gift book that I was given by my husband a couple Christmases ago. It's The Wit and Wisdom of Tyrion Lannister. It is literally just quotes from Tyrion Lannister from all the different books up through book 5, I think. Give me sweet lies and keep your bitter truths. An illustration of Tyrion Lannister on the front. Tyrion Lannister is my like tied favorite character with Daenerys, obviously, Khaleesi, my love, but also Tyrion, so my husband picked that up for me. So starting in the reds, we have The Cartel by Dawn Winslow, The Quick by Lauren Owen, Perfect Fifths, which is the 5th book in the Jessica Darling series by Megan McCafferty, Sloppy First, Second Helpings, Charmed Thirds, Forthcomings, Perfect Fifths. I actually haven't read this one yet. It's one of those things where I'm kind of holding out on it because those books were like everything to me as a teenager, and I'm still in a little bit of denial about them actually being done. And then we have Frog by Mo Yan, In the Light of What We Know by Zia Hadir Rahman, Bohemian Gospel by Dana Campbell Carpenter. I can never say that name. Fat Girl Walking by Brittany Gibbons. I love that cover. Sex, Food, Love, and Being Comfortable in Your Skin, Every Inch of It. Who doesn't need a little bit of that? Kelly Link. I'm not entirely sure what just fell. Kelly Link. Oh, that's what it is. It's my little notebooks. I have this little stack of notebooks up here, and they're falling as I'm moving the books. These are just, I picked these up at a half-price bookstore. They came all in a pack. They're just little rainbow blank line notebooks, but those are falling. Anyway, we have Magic for Beginners by Kelly Link. Sorry if this is making you guys dizzy. I keep forgetting I'm holding a camera. Prudence by Gail Carriger, which is one of my favorite book covers probably of all time. It's also the first one in her Custard Protocol series, which I have not gotten to yet because I haven't actually finished up the Parasol Protectorate, but it's next on my list. Then we have a couple of YA books. We have Lola and the Boy Next Door, my collector's edition of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell with ribbon bookmarker and fan artwork on the inside. I love the collector's editions of Rainbow Rowell's books that come out. We have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adia. Look at that lovely shiny gilt. We have, oh, up here we have Gone with the Wind. I got this from my basement library because I was going to do a reread, but then I tried and it was like February, so it was Black History Month, and Gone with the Wind is super problematic when it comes to racial stuff, which you know if you've read it or seen the movie, so I just decided to put it down. But anyway, we have The Reading Promise, My Father and the Books We Shared by Alice Ozma. We have Rebel Mechanics, All is Fair in Love and Revolution by Shanna Swenson. Get in there. We have Geektastic, Stories from the Nerd Herd by Holly Black and Cecil Castellucci. This is a collection of essays on like being a geek and geek culture from YA authors for teens. I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited to get to it. This little thing right here, this is tracing paper. This is a poetry pamphlet that my Poetry 2 class put out at university. So I've got some poems in there. Classmates of mine have poems in there. It's a nice, fun little book memory to have. This is a collection of Ray Bradbury short stories from the Everyman Library. It's ginormous. We have The Paper Magician. I love that color, by Charlie N. Holmberg. Get in there. Fast Food Nation by Eric Schlosser. The paperbacks are always harder to get in. We need to talk about Kevin by Lionel Shriver. It's not going to go in there, is it? Probably not. And then we have some mass market paperbacks. We have Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch, which is the sequel to The Lies of Locke Lamora, which I have not picked up yet because of all the Booktube SFF stuff that's going on, but it is on my list for immediately after that. Then we have, as you can see, a very well-worn copy of The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I love me some Dan Brown. I'm not ashamed of loving Dan Brown. I read this book before I read Angels and Demons. I absolutely am obsessed with this book. It's my favorite of his still to date, and my copy, as you can see, shows the love I have. And then lastly, we have Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark, which is huge and broken in. This is as far as I got the first time. This is as far as I got the second time. I don't know if there will be a third time, guys. All right, we are down on the next shelf, which starts with the oranges. The reds and pinks took up a shelf all on their own. First, kind of the ephemera. This is a margarita glass that one of my high school best friends, Kate, brought me back from Cancun like a dozen years ago. It usually has a bunch of loose change in it, but I took all the loose change out when we put it away for Christmas time, and there just hasn't been that much yet that's like accumulated in it. And then up top, these are the Kohinoor woodless colored pencils that you saw on my Instagram that my husband got me for Christmas. They're really hard to take in another package, so I won't show them to you, but they are literally just, as you can see here, like all color. They're woodless, so they're colored pencils without that wood casing on them. And there's 24 in there. They're artist grade, and they're my favorite thing to color with. And then right after that, also up on top, we have an super old Moleskine that was my bullet journal until my big A5 lectern came. So that's what I'm using now, and this just kind of sits up here so I can keep track of it. All right, on to the books. First up on the orange side, we have Leave Me Alone. I'm reading Finding and Losing Myself in Books by Maureen Corrigan. Then we have Did You Ever Have a Family by Bill Clegg. Hook's Revenge by Heidi Schultz. Lipstick Jihad by Azadeh Mohani. The subtitle to this is A Memoir of Growing Up Iranian in America and American in Iran. And then we have Gabriel Garcia Marquez of Love and Other Demons. He is one of my absolute favorite poets, and I really enjoy his magical realism. I read a lot of him in my Spanish classes in college, so a lot of the texts I have from that are left over. Get back in there. And then we have, this is a middle grade book that absolutely destroyed my heart. It's called Mockingbird. It is about a young girl who has somebody close to her pass away, and she has autism. And so it's all about her learning how to process and deal with that. It's by Catherine Erskine. And again, it's called Mockingbird. Then we have the yellow books. The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I was gifted this hardback. I have not read this book. I will probably not read this book. I have very little interest in this book. But it's so nice and pretty, and I have so few yellow books that there it sits. Then we have Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. If you watched my half-price book haul from a couple months ago, I picked this up at that point. Then we had Edward Rutherford, The Princes of Ireland. This is, I think, the second book of the Dublin Saga. I don't remember if this one's number 2 or number 1. I'm pretty sure this one's number 2. Pretty sure the first one's called, like, The Tribes of Ireland or something. Then you have Lamb by Christopher Moore. This is one of my husband's favorite books. The Gospel According to Biff, Christ's childhood pal. The idea here being that Biff and his friend Josh are growing up together, and it kind of covers those quote-unquote lost years that Jesus has in the Bible, where he just kind of disappears from the age of like 15 to like 30, basically. Obviously, I'm not a Bible scholar, so that's not a direct quote, but Christopher Moore is a hilarious author, so if you don't mind some irreverency about your religion, I would definitely check that one out. And then after that, we have an SF Masterworks. This is H.G. Wells' The Food of the Gods. I've not read this one yet, but I like everything else I've read by H.G. Wells. Here's another middle grade book called 11 Birthdays by Wendy Mass. Skippy Dies by Paul Murray. Now we're getting into some of the greens and then into the blues. We have Boys Who Rocked the World, Heroes from King Tut to Bruce Lee by Michelle Rowe McCann. This is interesting. It wasn't really good for me, but I actually picked it up for Will to add to his library one day in the future. I'm kind of trying to do that because I'm a mom and a librarian, and, you know, what are you going to do? Then we have The Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and my lovely little Dover thrift editions that cost me like $1 on Amazon. Then we have Tar Baby by Toni Morrison, Atonement by Ian McEwan, The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger, The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell by Chris Colfer. This is the first one in the series, and I love this cover. This is one of my favorite middle grade series. This is one of my favorite series to go to if you're ever in a slump. It's just a super fun book about stories and about magic and fairy tales, and I love it. This is my huge annotated Phantom Tollbooth that Mark got me a couple Christmases ago. This is one of my absolutely favorite books. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that. I have not read this next book, The Hakawati by Rabi Alamidine, I think is how you say it. But just look at that cover. Like, it's silver gilt, and there are like the little red, they're almost like rubies. The birds are absolutely gorgeous. I just love that cover. That one was a hardcore cover buy. Then we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. If you like some alternate history, well, not alternate history, but some almost like fan fiction history about, I believe, Patroclus and Achilles. Check that one out. That prose is gorgeous. Above Us Only Sky by Michelle Young Stone. Jacoby by William Ritter. The Devil's Highway by Luis Alberto Urrea. Bradbury Speaks. Too Soon from the Cave, Too Far from the Stars. Essays on the Past, the Future, and Everything in Between. As you can tell, I'm a pretty big Bradbury fan. Then we have my super beat up school edition of Pride and Prejudice. As you can see, there's some highlights in there. This is the one I used when I took my author-specific Jane Austen class at university. And then lastly, we have one more middle grade title, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. This is one of my favorite books when I was in middle school. It's still one of my favorite books to recommend. I would definitely check it out if you never have. All right, on to the... All right, I lied. So we're not to the purples yet. There's still more blue. There's Where the Moon Isn't by Nathan Filer. Fakes and Furies by Lauren Groff. This is another cover that I love. The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. This is a fantasy book that my mom recommended to me. She said it's a classic. I haven't gotten to it yet, but look at that cover. I mean, there's a swan. There's a sword. I am in for all of that. And then we have The Daughters by Adrienne Kelt. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This hardback edition was actually gifted to me Christmas 2002 by my sister Monica. It is very beat up and broken. This is one of my favorite books, like, ever. Then we have a coughing fit. No, then we have Rainbow Rowell's Eleanor Park. I have the collector's edition of this too, but I lent that. Oh no, this is the collector's edition. I thought this was the one I lent to my mom. No, this is also the collector's edition. As you can see, it comes with fan art on the inside. I love Rainbow Rowell, so I try to get the collector's editions of all of her books. I'm excited for when the collector's edition for Carry On will inevitably come out. Then you have Edward Rutherford, The Rebels of Ireland. This is the second one, because author of The Princes of Ireland. Okay, this is the second one in the Dublin Saga. Edward Rutherford basically does like really detailed historical fiction that's basically just history of places. So he has one on London, he has one on New York, he has a couple on Ireland. Definitely something to check out if history is your bag. And then we have Savage Beauty by Nancy Milford. This is actually a biography of Edna St. Vincent Millay that is supposed to be like one of the like best written biographies of all time. Come on, Edna, get back in there. All right. Then we have Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the third one in the Farseer trilogy. I have the other two. They're scattered around here somewhere. I read the first one last year, and this is another one that as soon as the Booktube SFF Awards stuff clears up, I'm hoping to get to pretty quickly. Then we have boring books, GMAT Premier, GMAT Math, 2013, back when my husband took the GMAT. Those are boring. We have The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. Ghost at a Watchman by Harper Lee. As you can see, now we are into the purples. We have Your Pregnancy Week by Week, which, as you probably guessed, I picked up back when I was pregnant. Then we have a very beat-up copy of Tipping the Velvet by Sarah Waters, which I still have not read. But look at that cover, man. Hoo-hoo! Saucy. Not safe for work. We have Love Letters to the Dead by Ava Delaria, which I'm on the fence about whether I'll keep and ever even actually read. When I first heard the premise, I thought it was really interesting, but since then I've seen a bunch of reviews on Booktube that don't necessarily make it sound like the most promising book. Then we have book 2 in the Land of Story series, The Enchantress Returns. And then we get into the browns. So we have The Well-Educated Mind, A Guide to the Classical Education You Never Have by Susan Wise Bauer. I picked this up back when I was interested in possibly homeschooling. I'm still interested in possibly homeschooling, but it's a matter of figuring out the logistics. So I really enjoyed that one. That's one to look into. Then we have, oh no, they're stuck together. Then we have All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Oh, my baby must have spilled something on Gilead. This is Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. And last but not least, The Creation by E.O. Wilson, An Appeal to Save Life on Earth. This was another textbook. I'm going to see if you can see. Yeah, and it's another textbook, another annotated one. This one was for a Sociology of the Ecology class, Sociology of the Earth class. And then we go down to the... Guys, we are over halfway there. These are the like gray and silver books. So first off, we have Wicked and the Divine, Volume 2, Pandemonium. I have Volume 1 somewhere, but I pulled Volume 2 out specifically because it's a Booktube SFF read that I need to relook at. And then I have Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. The Untold Stories of 33 men buried in a Chilean mine and the miracle that set them free. It's actually called Deep Down Dark, but that's like the subtitle. By Hector Tobar. I want to get to this one really soon, nonfiction about the Chilean miners' accident and how all of that happened. And then you have The Incorrigible Children of Ashton Place, The Mysterious Howling by Mary Rose Wood. This is a middle grade book that I picked up purely because of that cover. I just think it looks so adorable. So it was an impulse buy. Then I have Girl Meets Boy by Ali Smith, The Penelopead by Margaret Atwood, Jeanette Winterson's The Daylight Gate. Here's another one of those Robin Hobb titles hiding out. This is the second book. This is the one I have to read next. This is Royal Assassin. And then we have The Most Miserable Life of April Sinclair. Can You Say Catastrophe by Laurie Friedman. This is a middle grade book. Is it gonna go? Yes. All right. And then we have The Weird Sisters by Eleanor Brown. I love that color green right there. I love it. That's, as you can tell, a lot of cover buys on my shelves. The Island of Love and Drowning by Tiffany Unique. Nurture Shock by Poe Bronson, New Thinking About Children. I have kind of a weakness for books about parenting and parenting strategy and that kind of stuff, like the sociology of parenting. This is The Turner House by Angela Flournoy, but my 13-month-old is a terrorist and ripped the cover up to shreds. He's great. I love him. It was my fault for letting him play with the books, but still. This is Illiterate Passion, The Letters of Anais Nin and Henry Miller. Let me tell you guys, erotic is good, but you want to blush on the subway, you pick up Illiterate Passion. That's good stuff. Then we have Writer to Writer, From Think to Ink by Gail Carson Levine. This is a middle grade book all about writing and stories. So I picked it up. I thought it would be a good resource for Will one day maybe. And, you know, I always love books about writing, even if they're meant for kids. Then we have Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, another school title that has been much read, much annotated, and very, very much so enjoyed. And then we have The Brief and Wonderful Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz. We have Apollodorus's The Library of Greek Mythology. I picked this up back when Jean was reading a read-along of it and then did never actually read it. So Beware the Amazon Prime instant buy button. That's how we end up with things like that. Then we have The Thinking Woman's Guide to Real Magic by Emily Corey Barker. A complete, total 1000% cover buy. I just think that it is so gorgeous, front to back, stem to stern, spine to pages. I think it's lovely. Then we have The Architect's Apprentice by Elif Shafak. We have All the Rage by Courtney Summers. Two Across by Jeff Barch. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Little Dorrit by Charles Dickens. The Mammoth Book of SF Stories by Women. This was another one picked up at my used bookstore haul from a while back. Poppy and Rye by Avi. And, of course, it wouldn't be my bookshelves without a V.C. Andrews book. This is Ruby. This is about Ruby Landry, who lives in the Bayou. It's the first one, I believe, in the Castillos, the Landry series. Yeah, it's one of those really awesome 90s covers that has a cutout, and then you open it, and here's this, like, look at how creepy that is. But looking at this is making me want to reread it, so I should probably put it back. Alright, guys, we're down to the last shelf, and I'm not actually going to lay on my stomach, so we're going to do kind of a from above angle. We have The Accidental Highwayman by Ben Tripp. We have Dataclysm, Who We Are When We Think No One's Looking by Christian Rudder. This is about internet data and what our data says about us and what, whether we want it to or not, kind of those subconscious decisions that reflect who we are and the things that we do on the internet. Then we have Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This is a horror novel written in the style of an IKEA instruction catalog. So there are like diagrams and charts and Swedish words, and it was actually surprisingly scary. I thought it would be more joke scary because of the format, but it's not. It's like scary. Then we have Scandal by Sarah Ackler. We have The Saint by Tiffany Rice. This is the first one in her second part of the Original Sinners trilogy. The first four start with The Siren, and that's probably my favorite erotica series of all time. This series is kind of a prequel to that. It tells how Nora became who she became. Nora is the main character of the Original Sinners trilogy or quartet. So I have not actually read this one yet. I need to pick up all the other ones, and then I want to do a binge. And then there's The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, another one from that used bookstore haul. The Stand by Stephen King. This is the complete and uncut edition. It is, like 1,200 pages? Yeah, like 1143 according to this. It is a massive book. Like, you could probably hurt somebody with this book. But this is probably one of my favorite books of all time. It is most definitely one of my favorite Stephen King's. It's about the ultimate showdown between good versus bad after an apocalyptic plague. We have The Bacchae, another tiny little Dover Thrift editions by Euripides. This is another one that I was going to read with Jean during a read-along, and then that just didn't happen. I have a little bit of harder time making room for classics of any kind, let alone ancient classics. They seem to be the thing that always gets pushed to the side, which I should work to remedy, especially since I have so many on my shelves. Then we have Unnatural Creatures, stories selected by Neil Gaiman. So this is like odd, like magical realism, kind of dark horror stories, edited and selected by Neil Gaiman. So I'm excited for that. Then we have The Thickety, A Path Begins by J.A. White. This is basically everything I wanted Uprooted to be, but actually done better because it is aware of the age at which it is speaking to. It's basically about a wood that starts to take over called The Thickety, and about a family that fights back and what all of that means. And then we get into some more graphic novels. We have Watchmen by Alan Moore, and Sandman's Volume 1 and 2. This is Volume 1, Preludes and Nocturnes. And then you have Volume 2, which is called The Doll's House. I'm hoping to own all of these one day, the entirety of the Sandman series, but graphic novels are a little bit costly, guys. So I usually only pick up a couple volumes whenever I have a little bit of a surplus. And then we get into some of like the house reference books. These I might not pull out. Well, I'll try. They might be tougher to pull out. We have the Hungry Girl Diet Cookbook. I love Hungry Girl and Lisa Lillen. She's really good for like home making versions of like junk food. She's the best one I found for that. So she has several cookbooks out. I would definitely check her out if you have not yet, and that's like your thing. There's Crochet a Zoo, fun toys for baby and you. Crocheting is a skill I'm learning to pick up. Boho Baby Knits by Kat Coyle. A lot of these I got at the used bookstore, so they're kind of ripped up a little bit. More modern top-down knitting. Knitwear Love. Knitting from the center out. Adorable knits for kids. Stitch and Bitch Superstar Knitting. Yeah, my kid got a hold of these too. Sock knitting, probably the same day he got a hold of the other ones. French Girl Knits. Amigurumi World. And Knits for Nerds. And then this thing right here is actually a super old, huge DVD case of DVDs that we decided to keep for some reason. So that's fun technology to have around. Well, guys, that is it. I'm going to try to do as smooth a pan as I can while standing up. Oh, yep, you're getting some live narration here. All right, guys, but those are my bookshelves. Thanks again so much for all of your love and follows and likes and comments and interactions. Those are my bookshelves. I will see you guys again next week. I hope you're having a great one. I will be back with the first part of my March wrap-up. Keep liking, subscribing, commenting, following. I love you guys just as much as you love me. I just thank you guys so much. All right, Outlaw out.